I'm Mac McGrath, CEO of National Streaming Sports, and I'm excited to tell you about our Roku Sports channel. Already has over 12,000 followers, 20 podcasts, over 70 weekly shows, and a 3.4-star rating. Our channel is anchored by great morning shows, afternoon shows, and nighttime shows with great shows in between.
And a good Sunday morning sports podcast to you guys out there in podcast land. I am your host, BA. I have along with me Sonia from Legal Score, James J. Train and Martin, Keith Engel, TGI Sports, and extraordinaire Jack Hirsch. Hope you gentlemen and ladies are doing well this morning. This show is going to be dedicated to the remembrance of our founder, John Mac McGrath. Our prayers are always to be with his wife, Linda. We'll be airing tributes to Mac at 25-minute mark, as well as just before we end the show. If anybody on the panel wants to say or wants to come in and say anything, or even in the comments want to say anything about Mac, your comments are welcome. So there it is. If anybody wants to say something right now, it's good because we're going to be jumping into sports basically immediately. Double negative. All right. But yeah.
Well, I could just say, I mean, Mac and myself had great chemistry. But if Mac were here now, he'd be starting off the show with the Knicks beating the Atlanta Hawks as the first thing. And it would be driving me crazy with the Sixers playing the Celtics last night. We'd be going back and forth backstage. But we always covered everything. We had a ton of laughs. I mean, seeing them come up there on the screen, coming back to life, internally, brought a big smile inside. I don't know how I looked on the outside, but I was certainly smiling on the inside seeing them again.
Yeah, I'd like to piggyback on that. Extremely appreciative to have met all of you on this panel through Mac. And I just think about all the opportunities he's presented, and knowing him, like it was like a spider web. It just grew, still growing. And, Miss Linda, we always think of you. I'm always keeping you in my prayers, just like I know everyone else is. But it's still unbelievable to me, at least, that he's not here in the physical. But I do know that he is ever present in the spirit. And so I'm just extremely appreciative and grateful for the opportunity to be able to honor such an incredible man on today.
And I'll just add, I started in with Jack and Mac as a guest spot. Linda reached out to me after I started my show in 2020. What was one show turned into every single Friday, and then turned into every single Monday on the predecessor to this show. And, I miss Mac every week, and I think about Mac a lot because I got Jack, in the will. So so we think about him a lot. And we do. And Linda pops in the shows, and it's always fun to see her. I say good morning, and we have a lot of fun, and we miss Mac a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could say the same thing. I when I first came on, I was just a guest, and what's the guy's name that played for Dallas what was his name, Jack? Jim Jeffcoat. Yes. So I would take his spot. So I wasn't really expecting to be on the show as a mainstay, but more so just a stand-in. And the more that I would come on, I'd come on because I started with Sonia and Friday with the fellas and just guesting, with her, and I was very thankful for that. But to be introduced to Mac. And to be able to come on early in the mornings, I would come on with him maybe about 20-30 minutes ahead because I didn't know what time to be on, because Mac always seemed like this serious guy where you didn't know whether or not he was just like cool. And then of course I see some interactions between him and Jack, and I'm like, wow, man, I don't want to be in the mix of that like that. And so I'm getting muted. So let me make sure that I come on and do everything right.
Skin. That was one of his great qualities. He had thick skin that you could speak your mind, and I could let him know when I was annoyed at him knowing it wasn't going to affect our friendship. So that was very important. I didn't have to hold anything inside with Max. So that was good.
Yeah, and that's what he did with me because I'll be honest with you, you're not starry-eyed, but a little timid and nervous, when I be on the show. So when I'm interacting with everybody, I see, I have some sports knowledge, but I see you guys had the experience and you were able to interact with each other. And Mac would notice that he was just that kind of guy where he would like James, you got to come in and say something. He tell me at the shows, you can go ahead and, work your way in. You're not offending anybody if you cut anybody off, but make sure you work your way in. And it was just great. I really appreciate Mac and everything that he's done for me in regards to this portion of my type of career. And I look at it as such, and he saw it as such. And he paid a compliment to both myself and Keith. And because I asked him one morning, I said, Mac, I said, I don't know how I'm doing in this show. I said, what do you see in regards to how I would be, as someone on this show? He said, oh man, I think you'd be the next great Keith Angle. And, he gave Keith that compliment. And I'm like, wow, because I looked at Keith when I watched his show, I was like, man, this dude, he's doing it as well. And so, yeah, I was really appreciative of Mac. And again, Miss Linda, because like I said, I would come on with him and that Miss Linda always be in the background. And yeah, as his producer and just doing everything. And I speak to her in the morning as well. Good morning, Miss Linda, as I'm going to say to you again. And thank you as well for everything that you and Mac has done for me. And I'm very appreciative of everything.
I just want to say thank you, Linda, for chiming in. We love you too. And we pray for you all the time. So, we appreciate you. And thanks, Mac, to, I kind of like took a pin and just took it further with his show. He kind of, I only met him one time, physically, and that was a video chat. But you know what I'm saying? I only saw him one time. If it wasn't for Sonia bringing me on here, I probably would have never got that opportunity. But Mac is the one that kind of influenced me to continue on with his legacy because I believed in his dream. And Linda helped influence that as well as the rest of you guys on here too. Everybody on this platform in this network is awesome. You guys are great. You guys got great sports knowledge. We're trying to bring new things on there. Sonia with her legal shows and me and James with TV. I think this is something that Mac envisioned this podcast network to be, not just sports, but with added stuff on it. But I enjoy doing it. And I'm blessed by the fact that I had the opportunity to do it. So thank you again, Mac. Love you.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to piggyback real quick and say I still have the text messages from Mac when I actually told him about both of you guys, you J Train and you 2B. I literally was like, hey, I got this new guy. That's how I did UB. I was like, I got this new guy. What do you think? I know you're like really, trying to get better and stuff, but I really want to bring him on. I've, been on his show. He really knows what he's doing. And then with J Train, he was talking to me. He's like, hey, do you have any ideas? I was like, hey, I got these guys. I said, but I'm going to be honest. The one that I think is going to show up is going to be James Martin. I didn't know him as J Train. I was just like, he just seems like he really wants to do this. And I remember even J Train and I would text and I'd be like, hey, you're doing so great. And he was like, you sure? I was like, you are. I was like, Mac already told me. And I'm glad, he told him the same. And like, look at James now. Like, seriously, look at him now. He is literally the chocolate Keith Angle. He really is.
That's a moniker you'll never get rid of, James. I'm not
touching that one.
I'm keeping
you could talk about all you want, but the chemistry Mac had with myself, Mac and Zach, how funny it was, I think, was the centerpiece, the way we would go at it, that would go beyond sports. We'd be getting into arguments about whether you should tip $1 or not at Dunkin' Donuts if someone just comes with a donut, and I'd argue, I'm not tipping a buck. If I'm getting one jelly donut, Max says you throw in a buck as a tip. And I said, I'm not going to do that. I'm getting one donut? Come on.
Oh,
Yeah, I've watched some of the back shows with Mac and with all you guys in it, and I love the back and forth that you guys, the banter that you guys had. It is hilarious, especially with Keith and Jack with Mac. Those were some hilarious shows that I watched.
God.
Jack is awesome. I gotta tell you something. You know, we love you, Jack. And a lot of times that you kind of do, I think you do it on purpose too. You kind of get under our skin just to see how we're going to react, and I think that's a really good thing.
Not
Really
getting older.
He's a match.
You become a little more grumpier as you get older. But fortunately, I could put the brakes on my grumpiness. You know, it might last a few hours, and then I could, because I know the way I'm acting. You know,
can we work on it from 8 to 9
I've
on
seen
Monday
some
and Friday?
people getting older, their grumpiness is out of control, and there's no going back. And
I'm sitting right
Yeah.
here, Jackie. I'm listening to this.
I mean, like, but Mac did things out of the box, but like a little unusual. But that's good. You know, it's good sometimes you do things out of the box because that's how people achieve greatness at times. And he didn't have a big ego. For example, when he had Phil Simms on as a guest, he could have had Phil Simms alone have done the show, and he asked me to come on and do it with him with Phil Simms, and that was kind of prestigious at the time because Phil Simms was working for CBS, you know, big time broadcaster, obviously famous quarterback, and you know, there were loads of fun. We had loads and loads of fun.
I'm just grateful that B has taken the vision and just literally taken off in a way I could never have imagined. I mean, he literally, you know, I'm sure Mac would be extremely proud.
Now,
Congratulations.
I would tell Mac, I think it's time to get to the big game last night because, you know, with this love fest, eventually we're going to lose the viewers. They enjoy it, it warms their hearts, but I think people are now, you know, and I think Mac would have gotten into the sports part by now, but I'm glad we had this segment.
Oh.
And this is the part that Mac would say he would mute Jack's button. This is where Mac.
Where's my mute button? Where's my
You're
mute
probably
button?
still, never mind.
Jack, hold on a
You would
minute.
have been quiet at that stage. You wouldn't talk.
That's
at that
right.
time.
I would have.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
But in moving on for a little bit here, we do have sports that we do have to get to. Thank you, Danny and Rick
Danny
and Chris
starts
for chiming
trouble all
in.
the time. Danny just starts to he likes to
Stir
stir
the pot.
things up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Danny's the stir the pot
Oh
guy.
yeah, I get messages all the time. I'm sick.
And to piggyback on what Danny has said, about finding some beauty on the show, calling us a beast in sports, Danny, is not a bad thing. When you're called beast in sports, that's really a good thing.
But thanks for the compliment.
Yeah.
I thought it was for me, so I was.
It was. We see you've polished your head even more, Keith. We knew it was for you.
I had to put it because I had to put a little aloe on my head today because I got burned on the golf course the other day. So.
What?
Aloe,
Easy
look out.
living. Brag, why don't you? The golf course. Wow. Enjoy.
So
it.
anyway, let's get into some NBA playoff news. Yesterday, the 76ers eliminated the Boston Celtics. Did anybody really see that coming? I didn't see that coming. I really didn't see that coming.
No.
Of course,
Well, by
Jason
game
Tatum didn't
7,
play.
wait. You had to give the Sixers a good chance to win going into the game yesterday.
Well, yeah.
And when you heard Tatum was out, the Sixers became the favorites in that
I
game. even though it
told
was
y'all
a
that
Boston.
Tatum left early. Y'all said no. That's crazy.
Tatum didn't play at all.
See, the previous game, I was talking to B and James, and I said, I saw somewhere that he left, and I thought they said he came back, but I'm like, okay. When I saw the game, the recent game, I was like, looks like he really did leave. I was a shock. But I knew without Tatum, that would be it.
Yeah, Celtics been playing some pretty bad ball the last, not really great ball, should I say, in the last couple of games too, where they, where 76ers were
This isn't
playing pretty well.
This isn't a new thing for them to flame out this way, though. Their offense is built so much around the three-pointer. When it doesn't work, it happened against the Knicks last year in the playoffs, and we watched it the last 3 games. They just melted down at the three-point line. They had great looks last night and just clanked them all. You've got.
Why don't you give the Sixers credit? They won.
I was going to say the same thing.
Lost it. They jumped up to 9-0 lead.
I will give them credit.
Played a great game until the end. He was so beaten up. Then he just went in the corner and looked to take threes at the end. But Maxey took control of the game at the end.
Maxey became a star in the series in my mind. Played well.
Yeah.
Played well. And Embiid dominated. Maxey becomes a star in my mind this last week. And I'm not taking anything away from the Sixers. I'm saying the Celtics have got to adjust what they do going forward because this doesn't work. When you're
13 from 49 from 3-point,
you've got to adjust. They shot less than 30% the last 4 games and you can't just keep hoisting them up. That's all they did. That was their offense. Wide open looks too, by the way.
Analytics that tell you to take more 3-pointers.
Right, and that's stupid.
Analytics.
Yeah, that's great. As long as you're making them, it's wonderful.
Right. So, I mean, I will say that I agree with Jack. I mean, and I know, Keith, you're giving them credit as well, but Embiid, 34 points and double-double, and Tyrese Maxey, double-double, 30 points, 11 rebounds. These guys were at the end when it mattered most. Tyrese took over, and you see Embiid on bad legs, diving for balls, and when he really wanted it. And then I think the biggest thing is they got tired of getting beat by the Celtics, in the end. And so that just happened. And there may be a little luck in the situation, but everybody deserves a little luck. Not having Jason Tatum on the court, I think that kind of mattered and altered the series. I mean, the last game. But again, give credit to them. And I think going into against the Knicks, that's going to be a really good series. I think it's going to be an underrated series that people are not going to really be talking about because everybody's going to think that the Knicks are going to go and handle the 76ers. But here we go. This is something different that's coming.
James, this should put the rest of the questions about Embiid and his toughness because this guy, I mean, he had surgery 13 days ago. Plus, he got hurt. He hurt his knee. He hurt probably every part of his body, it looked like, in the last couple of games. And he found a way to muddle through, and that's been a knock on him. And yes, he was tired of losing. He said directly, it's been 1982 since they beat the Celtics in the playoff series. I don't know how many series that entails, but that's a long time ago.
But if you look at the way Embiid was dragging his body up and down the court, I don't think he's made to last for the rest of the playoffs. They have to win 3 more series to win the NBA championship. I don't see Embiid being in top form game after game. I could see him being in top form maybe 1 game out of the first 2 against the Knicks at the Garden, and then taking the other game off, having to kind of recuperate between, not only between games, but on game days, Take certain game days off during the actual game. I mean, he'll be on the court, but he won't be laying it all on the line. I just think he's hurting too much.
He's going to have to.
That's been him his whole career. That's been him his whole career, though.
Yeah, but this playoff series, you have to really need to be in top form for the most part. And it's going to be tough for him to do that. Other guys going to have to pick up the slack somewhat, besides Maxey and Edgecombe.
Yeah, I was going to say.
I mean, he's got to step up a little more.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But he's been. I'm sorry, Sonya. I'm just going to say about PG.
But he hasn't been a star the way he has in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say when Keith first mentioned Joel Embiid, I was like, his health is going to be what's going to determine this series. He has literally put that team on his back. All the plays we've seen him make, but he has been hurt consecutive seasons. I mean, all the way back to the 2020 season. Actually, every season. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at his injury history, 2014 through 16. Every year from 2014 all the way to the current, it's been some type of orbital fracture, meniscus surgery. It's been something every single season. So, and then this year, 13 days ago, he had an appendectomy. I had an appendectomy. I don't know how he's playing 13 days later. That's insane. I mean, I know they do laser. I had laser, but you still have to heal from within and then without. So they're still cutting you.
You can see him icing that last night, Sonia. If you watch close a couple times on the bench, you can see he was icing his midsection.
Yes. And that's what I'm saying. That's not sustainable. I think Jack mentioned it. He had, or one of you guys mentioned it. I don't think he can consecutively hold this entire series out. I just don't see that. I just think not even withstanding this appendectomy. I mean, he just had this left knee injury. He's beat up. He's banged up every quadrant of his body, even his head. He's had an orbital fracture. This dude is literally putting his life on the line for this team. And I'm afraid to think if they don't make it past this series, what do the 76ers do with Embiid going forward? Because if we as the fans, as people, the lay people that see the injury history, and we finally see him come back, it's almost like he feels like I've got to get back, because if I don't get back to this series, I don't know what they're going to do with me next season.
I don't think anything. They beat the Celtics. That means a lot going forward. But you look at this next series, like Sonia mentioned, like with Embiid being all beat up, it's going to be like a tag team match. Him and his backup, Andre Drummond, going against Karl Anthony Towns and Mitch Robinson. The Knicks are going to keep throwing Towns and Robinson at him, and both guys are going to be fresh throughout the game. And can Embiid withstand that? Because at the end of yesterday's game, all Embiid was doing was going to the corner and waiting for the ball to get passed to him to take a three-point shot. And that formula, you could use it at the end of a game, but he's going to have to bang underneath. And I know Towns is reluctant on the outside, but he's going to force Embiid to come out a lot. Then they'll bring in Mitch Robinson, who'll be banging underneath. It's tough. And Maxey, can he outplay Brunson? There are other questions. And I mentioned Paul George. Can he outplay Anunoby? And, there's so many variables with the bench, with Mitch, with Mikal Bridges. Is he going to step up a little more? Mikal Bridges hasn't been bad in the past in the playoffs, despite what people think. He hasn't been as bad as people think.
He's not having a great 2026 playoffs.
Right. He had a good game last game, but big deal. They routed the Hawks.
He needs to go out and play some defense. He doesn't need to go out and score 20 points a game. That's what every time he doesn't score 15 or 20, people think he had a horrible game. And sometimes he did, but not always, because he does little things that don't show up sometimes. And he did that last year in the playoffs. And the Knicks need that going forward for sure.
This is the thing, Jack. I agree with you in regards to the Karl Anthony Towns Embiid matchup. He's gonna draw him out. I think it's gonna be a problem, especially when Embiid on one of the last plays in the fourth quarter looked like he hyperextended his knee when Tyrese fell into him.
Yeah.
So that could be a lingering issue as well. But that being said, the motivation of coming back to beat a team like Boston, that's momentum, as some people don't like to say or would like to mention. That gives a team. It gives the team some added motivation and will to want to say, okay, if we can take this team down in the first round, we can take on anybody. So confidence is key here, regardless. And sometimes mind over matter, meaning injuries, whatever you got going on. You look at Embiid, 34 points. Again, like Sonia said, an appendectomy. That's nothing to sneeze at. And to have all these other ailments, and you still throw in 34 points in and 12 rebounds as well against a 7-footer that you're playing against. That's pretty decent on the other side in Keita as well. So I just really think it's going to be a matchup. They're not going to get beat down, but I can see a 6 or 7 game series as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough series. It is going to be a tough series, and one the Sixers might win. I'm not discounting their chances, but with Embiid, like Sonia mentioned, when someone has all those physical ailments and they're so beaten up, and yet they lay it on the line the way he did, you can't lay it on the line for a long period of time. For short intervals, for a couple of games, or for one series, you could give it everything you have, but then you kind of collapse. Like your man Isaiah in that famous Game 6 against the Lakers. He laid it all on the line against all odds.
Jack cannot go through a cast without saying Isaiah.
Well, he
Or
would have
my
been
man,
90.
Isaiah. Right, exactly.
Oh, by the way, I saw a tape last night. John Sally saying,
That's
no,
crazy.
Jordan had nothing to do with him not being on the Dream Team. John Sally, Isaiah's teammate and his buddy at the Pistons, by the way. But you could lay it on the line for like a couple of games. He wanted so badly to beat the Celtics finally and beat. Now that he did it, you have a letdown. You have a letdown.
I'm not so sure.
And he's not going to be, he's going to be motivated for some games against the Knicks. It won't be the same way. He's not going to play to the point of collapsing every game unless it gets to a 6th or 7th game again. If you see the finish line in sight, think of it this way, guys. If you're running, you're exhausted, and you see the finish line, you somehow muster up the reserves to sprint, to really push hard. But if you don't see the finish line, it's really hard to keep up the pace you want to keep up.
Interesting. One thing we didn't talk about in this game and I thought was really entertaining was the byplay between Brown and Embiid throughout that, especially the second half last night. Them jawing each. It was awesome theater, I thought, during this game. And Brown taking him on defensively was, very interesting to watch. So I thought that was a little side a note on this game last night. It was a lot of entertaining for me as a non-fan of either team.
And it could affect game 1. Mitch Robinson was not suspended for that altercation in Atlanta against Daniels, but he was fined $50,000 to Daniels $25,000 because Mitch Robinson very stupidly tweeted something after. I mean, why don't these guys get educated? Leave these tweets alone. Nothing good ever comes of it.
All I know is Embiid better have some type of stomach brace on because all it's going to take is one foul against him there and he's going down.
You would think he'd stitched up yet, right? I mean,
he's stitched up, but I'm telling you, they had me with a pillow for a while.
Yeah.
Like, it's just to cough and laugh was insanely painful.
Impressive.
Before we get to our next set of playoff teams for today, I'm going to run this tribute for Mac, and we'll come back with that, okay? All right, again, thank you for joining us in a tribute to Mac. Again, love you, Mac. Rest in peace, brother. We'll be seeing you soon.
Mac was the coach there. Like we were the players. Mm-hmm. Mac was the coach.
Mm-hmm.
Without a doubt,
I agree with that. Yeah. After the show, do catch Keith Engel with Stream of Consciousness right after the show, and at 8:00 p.m. catch our newest members of MPN. MGF. I'm glad I get this right because
I'm thinking. Well, I can't help but thinking with Mac. I'm sorry to cut in. What type of coach was he? Would he be like a Dean Smith
You
or
wouldn't be
Bobby
Jack.
Knight? You know who I think he would be like? He was Bill Parcells. That's how I'll describe Mac. I know that warms Keith's heart, but Mac was the equivalent of Bill Parcells, and Mac would be happy with that, hearing that.
I agree.
All right. So getting to our second half of our NBA talk right here. We have 2 games going on today, both game 7s. We have the Magic going to the Pistons and the Raptors going to the Cavaliers. Let's tell you how we got here to this point. The Magic, I don't know if you would call it a joke job, but they had a 24-point lead at the end of the first half. They couldn't hit squat in the second half. Yeah, they scored 19 points in the second half, and the Pistons and Cade Cunningham took over the game. This is what this is what I want to see Cade do, because he kind of hesitantly does take over in some games, and I want him to say, you know what, I'm putting it on my back. But the guy that was the catalyst in the second half to me was Reed for the Pistons. He came in for a non-existent Duren. That dude has been peeing me off every game this series. But he came in there and he was very effective because you can't defend him like you can Duren. Duren is more of a paint guy. Reed is an outside shooting guy as well, and an inside shooting guy. So they couldn't really defend against him, and it kind of changed the perplexity of their defense, Orlando. But still, you missed 23 straight shots. And they had some wide open shots too. That it's like the Pistons didn't play them a lot on the wide. They have really had trouble defending the 3-point line. The Pistons have, and that's where Orlando's been making their magic at, unintended.
Oh, yeah.
On the other side, we had the Raptors playing the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Raptors hit a miraculous throw. I don't know, it was a miraculous 3-point shot, but they hit a 3-point shot to win the game in overtime. That was a really good up and down game too. I mean, you're on the edge of your seat watching this game. And it's like, I don't know what is going on through Cleveland. I don't know what their mindset is right now, because they got players there that should have just took care of this series, but they're not doing it. Any thoughts on any of these 2 games? Game 7.
Yeah, I mean, Orlando, you're right, couldn't make a shot. When they finally broke the 23 consecutive misses, it was on a dunk, so they didn't really actually make a shot. Let me just say something about Cade Cunningham. When he was the number 1 overall choice, I didn't think he'd be anything more than a very good player. I thought he'd be a very good player. I didn't think he'd be a great player, but very good. But right now, let me ask all of you, if you're the Pistons, is there any one single player, if your phone rang and they offered that player for Cade Cunningham, where you would make a deal? Outside of Wemby, I wouldn't make that deal. I wouldn't even make it.
That's who I was going to say.
Outside of Wemby, because Wemby is a
unicorn.
He's a human cheat code.
Player. He's a human in a sense.
He's a unicorn, right? Exactly.
Or whatever. But
more
I wouldn't trade him for any single player one-on-one, and that includes SGA. That includes Cooper Flagg, knowing his potential. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know what you guys would do, but and he did take over the game against the Magic. We could talk about all the misses that the Magic did, but the Pistons went out and they played like a team. I mean, they were motivated. They weren't giving up on their season, and they came from far back, and they went out and grabbed the game.
I'm going to disagree with you about SGA. I would say SGA is probably up there with Wemby as well, as someone who's tradable. I mean,
would you make the deal if you're the Pistons, if you were offered SGA? Straight up, I would leave it alone. That's what I'm saying. Well, Wemby, I would accept the deal, but that's it. He's the only one in the NBA.
I'd agree with Jack here. Only Wemby. I mean, he's a great player and comparable to Cunningham, but I think Cunningham I think his all-round game's a little bit better, just a tad better than SGA.
Yeah, he's more all around. I would say.
Since you brought it up, I would just say, yeah, for me, I have to disagree with that. I just think SGA is probably the next guy in line for like multiple MVPs, and I just think that no, I do not, Paul. To answer your question, but I mean, well, that's not true. Myself and B, we have a BW Flicks. It's totally opposite, but yes. But going back to the comparisons or who you would trade for, yeah, I really think SGA is the next guy that's up there. That's like in the top three player, of the NBA. And if you ask me, I definitely would consider it. And just think that and Cade's great. Cade's a great player, but SGA right now, if we're talking about like, say for instance, we're talking about players, or let's just go coaches, with Kerr versus Mark Jackson. You saw what the difference was. One could get to the playoffs and one could win championships. And I think this is the kind of situation where we're talking about that. I would say that Cade Cunningham has yet to prove that he can do that. And one has already proven that he can actually do that. So.
I'm going to go a little different. I know you guys are like talking about right now, but I would say Cooper Flagg. I mean, his stats alone for his rookie season are, in my opinion, a good prediction of what type of player he would be. And if you're one of these teams that would actually kind of look to the future, and you're not in a necessarily win now position, Cooper is definitely there, especially with him being the one and only of three players in the last 45 years to have 20 points, 6 assists, and 4 rebounds per game. So he never dropped below that the entire season. That's outstanding. And so, I mean, he's definitely a front runner. If you're looking at, okay, not today, but say next year and 5 years ahead, I'm always a forward thinker. So
yeah,
like, this is what we look like now and later.
Maybe you're right. You're 100% right. Looking into the future, Sonia, and maybe that's an unfair question because if I'm Dallas, outside of Wemby, I don't trade Cooper Flagg for anyone one-on-one because I realize what he might be 2, 3, 4 years from now.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, I'm going to have to go. This is a good segment for me to say. It's been great being on with you guys, and I'll see y'all soon because I'm out of class, so I'll be back. And thank you for letting me come on, everybody.
Good luck.
Appreciate
you.
All right,
thank you. I'll make sure I don't hit the end stream button. I'm gonna just move me on out, B. Just move me.
I will drive down to Atlanta and I will drive down to Atlanta. Have a good one, Sonia.
Thanks, y'all too.
Take care, Sonia.
Have a great one.
All right. So the second game, the Toronto versus Cleveland. This is a kind of a series that really, I mean, I think more people are paying attention to Cleveland, not as much as Toronto, rightly so. But now you have to kind of adjust your focus to Toronto because they are playing some pretty good ball in some spots, and they're making this a competitive series. Nobody thought that was going to happen. What is your feelings about this? Because I think Toronto can beat Cleveland in this.
These are two very evenly matched teams in my mind, and Toronto's got it's like a different hero. It seems almost every night, and I think I think they played more consistent basketball in the series than Cleveland. And we've got the James Harden lugging around the monkey on his back, which I don't understand. I just don't understand how he goes into this funk. It feels like every playoff season, and he's not even the guy. I mean, Donovan Mitchell's the guy, and you'd think that he'd be able to take a little bit of a breath here and step forward, and he just hasn't. Maybe there's a game I missed that he kind of really stood out. I haven't seen it. And this Toronto, I love that RJ Barrett, by the way, got this game-winning shot the other night. We're reminiscent of Kawhi Leonard a few years ago, a very similar shot in the playoffs. And RJ Barrett's kind of gotten lost. I mean, that Toronto, and I think Jack brought this up Friday. I think Jack brought it up Friday. I heard it somewhere. that Toronto Nick trade was a very good trade for both teams, right? And I think RJ Barrett's gotten kind of lost. He's a good basketball player, and I think getting out of New York is probably the best thing that happened to him, kind of going home for him. So two evenly matched teams. I can see Toronto win this game in Cleveland today.
But a big narrative is going to be any team that doesn't at least get to the finals, what deals they should make in the offseason. But sometimes the best thing could be to run it back. It would be a disaster if Cleveland loses Game 7 to Toronto. The season's a whole waste, especially last year when they won 64 games and got bumped out of the playoffs. They disappointed. And to lose to Toronto this year, are you kidding me? But what choice would they have but to run it back? They got Harden in season. They have Donovan Mitchell. They have a really good coach in Kenny Atkinson. But if they don't get it done, I mean, shouldn't the blame go elsewhere outside of James Harden? Shouldn't we hear about Jared Allen, who I personally love and wish the Nets never got rid of?
Yeah,
shouldn't he take some accountability? Mobley, let's look at Cleveland star Donovan Mitchell.
Mobley.
Why are we blaming Harden? We expect him to carry the Cavaliers. He's not the man on that team.
Played pretty well.
Donovan Mitchell.
He did. I agree, Keith. He played pretty well.
I think Mobley and Allen, I think in limited opportunities, they both shot the ball well. I mean, again, it's not all about
they
the
got to win. This is more important for Cleveland than Toronto to win today. No one's taking Toronto's title hopes seriously. In a way, they're playing with house money. They lose a 7-game series to the Cavaliers. You go home. The season's been fun. If the Cavs lose, it's a washout. Even like the Pistons and Magic, if the Pistons should lose this game, big disappointment. But not many people were thinking the Pistons could win the NBA title going into this season. Disappointment. They have a lot to look forward to the Pistons next year. But if Cleveland's made to win today, now, if they don't get it done now, when the heck are they going to get it done? And I just don't know.
I have a lot of doubts. I have a lot of doubts that they're going to get it done at all. I think mainly the biggest thing nobody pointed out, to me, it seems like chemistry is the problem. You put great names in there. You put these players in there. But, I mean, like James Harden, Donovan Mitchell, Allen, and Mobley. These players, you would think, if I just looked at the actual lineup on paper, then you're thinking these guys you should beat Toronto, right? You should beat Toronto, and it shouldn't be going to Game 7. But here we are talking about whether or not they're going to win or lose in Game 7. So I wouldn't be surprised if Toronto upsets them and moves on to the second round. But I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt and give Cleveland the edge here and just say that, okay, maybe James Harden, even though the pressure should not be on him, it should be on Donovan Mitchell because he's the true unquestioned leader of this team. But and he's had some flops in the playoffs as well, whether he was in Utah or in Cleveland. I just think that, yes, the pressure needs to be on Donovan Mitchell here, and James Harden needs to be the Robin role here at this point of his career. And going back to Detroit, Desmond Bane and Banchero, if they're going to show up, if they show up, like if they didn't play like they played the last game, there might be some questions in Detroit. What's going on? They may win this game, and it can go either way. But I'm going to give the number one option, the benefit of the doubt as well at home, and I'm going to pick both Detroit and I'm going to pick Cleveland to win this game. But who knows what's going to happen in the next rounds when they move on for both teams.
I'll take the Pistons today, especially with Wagner out for Orlando. And again, they've got that 23-point meltdown fresh in their mind still. I think the Pistons come back and win. But I like the Raptors today, actually, to win on the road.
I do too.
I wouldn't doubt it.
You're muted, Jack.
I absolutely. I thought Mac was back. Me being muted. I absolutely like Cleveland today. I'm wavering back and forth. Orlando, Detroit with Wagner out. I don't know. I mean, I guess Detroit's at home that they'll get it done, but I just, it's a toss-up. I mean, it's going to come down to the wire. I think Orlando, Detroit. I think Cleveland wins decisively. I think they win by double digits against Toronto today, though. I don't think it'll be a blowout, but when all is said and done, they'll win by about 11 points.
Yeah, it could go. It could turn ugly with the Cleveland Raptors game. I mean, if Cleveland's going to win, they are going to blow them out. I think. If the Raptors going to win, it's going to be tight. But go ahead, Jack.
But we think of off-season moves. If the Knicks lose to the Sixers in the next round and the Cavaliers lose today, Donovan Mitchell has been linked to the Knicks. I could see both teams ready to make a bold move where the Cavs could trade Mitchell to the Knicks.
Knicks have no need for Donovan Mitchell.
Carl Anthony Towns, Anunoby, something like that.
This isn't 2019. The Knicks have no use for Donovan Mitchell in that backcourt. None.
Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson would be. I mean, they're both ball dominant, so there's no way you would want him unless you trade. I mean, but I wouldn't trade Jalen Brunson for anything.
I was all for bringing Donovan Mitchell in here like 6 years ago when he was on the block with Utah, but that ship has sailed. We got Jalen Brunson, and I think we made out better in that exchange.
But sometimes you wonder these teams if they would just stick with their players too. When Donovan Mitchell was at Utah with Rudy Gobert, if you could somehow build around that, and sometimes you just wonder. If just keep running it back and eventually you might break through.
I think the offseason, and I think James has mentioned this before, that the offseason narrative in Cleveland might be LeBron potentially coming home one last time to play with this bulk of this team. Because they could run it back and maybe add a LeBron. Again, he doesn't need to be the guy.
I kind of wonder, yeah. Him going back to Cleveland, that would release James Harden to be more of a scorer. LeBron would play the point.
I think it'd be a very interesting way to finish his career. Would be back to Cleveland again.
Yeah, and
it'd be poetic, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I think that the Pistons can win this game if they start Reed. Paul Reed starts instead of Duran. I think that'll be the difference maker in this game because they have no answer for Reed, but they got plenty of answers for Durant. And I don't want to say that Durant's not helping his case either. Dude
You're a hater, Brian.
I'm not a hater. I'm looking at the guy. He's being soft. He's being soft.
He didn't look that soft to me the last game.
Well, let me ask you something, Jack. Why did they put Reed in a key time of the game?
It's strategy. I mean, listen.
No, because Reed cannot be defended by the Orlando Magic like Duran can. Duran is a paint presence. That's it. You don't have really any outside shots, not even a mid-range shot. Reed has got all that, and he can hit a three every now and then too. So you gotta be honest with the defense with him. And he's not the greatest player. No, he's probably not talent-wise better than Duran, but he still has enough of the mechanics to make the defense honest. So that's the difference. So they start with him, and maybe he gets in foul trouble. They still got Duran to go to, and he can finish the game off. I just think that's what they should go to. I don't know what JB Bickerstaff is going to do. That's on him. He's the coach. So that's how I would play it. But anyway, and as far as the Toronto Raptors and Cleveland are concerned, I do believe that the Raptors are going to sneak this one out. It's going to be a close game, though. I think Toronto's going to come down to the last shot again for them to win this. But if Cleveland wins, they definitely are blowing it. It's going to be a blowout.
So, but could you imagine with the bracket, the Knicks will have to play the 76ers in a tough series, and can you imagine Orlando and Toronto win? They're playing one another. So one of the two are automatically going to advance to the Eastern Finals. There's something that seems unfair about these brackets.
It's not unfair. The mid is the East is just mid. This is a point I tried to make up before. Everybody's talking about chances to win the championship. No East team is going to have a chance to win the championship. I'm sorry. They can be in there, but right now, OKC and SA are the best two teams right now. I mean, in the West, and
in the NBA, right?
Yeah,
Still
and
gotta
NBA,
play the
so
games.
yeah,
Still got to win the games. That's why we play the games, though, right? I
Yep.
mean, you're
Yeah.
likely right. I mean, going into it, 100%, but you still got to win on the court. So I give the East a fighting chance because the Knicks.
Yeah,
Again, the Knicks are playing really, really good basketball. If that carries over, if that continues to carry over, and they play the way they played, and they don't have to rely on Jalen Brunson every big moment in a game, then. Elizabeth, she'll be on this show in my spot pretty soon with that.
For me, the catalyst right now and the litmus test is going to for the Knicks is going to be this series here.
Yeah.
If they show that they're just as dominant as they were in the last few games against Atlanta, because I mean, come on, we're talking about Atlanta here. If they're just as dominant against this team that just beat number 2 seed, then I'm going to say, just like Stephen A said, he believes that they're going to the finals. I mean, it's not hard to do coming out of the East, but I'm going to give them credit and say I will pick them to go forward to the finals going forward if they could beat this team the way they beat Atlanta.
I think OG is the key because he needs to play. They need to take the reins off him. They rein him in too much. You saw what a great player he is. He's a star player, and he plays a role on this team and always has since he got here. Sometimes injuries have contributed to that, but it's mostly by design. He's played in the background and done it well, but he's a star in this league, man. When you unleash him,
don't get a little carried away. OG is a pretty good player, but don't make it on this league.
he's a very, very
Get out of here.
I agree with Jack on that one.
I mean, you get carried away.
Let's put it.
Valuable in a trade if the Knicks lose this series.
Knicks fans.
You don't think, Jack, that if he had.
I would trade in a moment if the Knicks get eliminated here and the Lakers do too. I would put together a deal where OG went to the Lakers for Austin Reeves. I would do that.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Anunoby's a better defender.
He's
Austin Reeves has no defense. Yeah.
Austin Reeves has a little more firepower.
And I don't think I don't think Knicks fans have gotten to see what OG can do because again, we've
got to see what he could do. He's been with us for a while.
Because
I'm with Keith.
And let him play his full game. And you saw a little bit of it the other night, though.
If he was if OG was truly a potential star, Toronto never would have made the deal with the Knicks. They knew Barrett and Quickly were good players, but they're not going to trade. For example, the Raptors wouldn't trade Scotty. They wouldn't have traded Scotty Barnes to the Knicks. Someone like that. They didn't look at Anunoby as being that type of Scotty Barnes type talent.
Let me say that I agree with Keith. Let's just look at the situation like what James Harden was when he was with two great players in OKC when they were young, and he left to go to Houston. When he left to go to Houston, I didn't know he was that good. It was hidden. It was hidden because again, he came off the bench. So he came off the bench. So imagine Anunoby in a situation where he's outside of Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson, and he probably be a superstar or a star, or at least a star.
You mentioned that Brunson is holding some guys back because he takes over the whole offense, but not Karl-Anthony Towns. Don't involve him in this. He's not.
No. I'm just saying Karl-Anthony is definitely already a superstar in his own right. Is what I'm saying. Those two players. I'm saying if you had to name the players in order of
not a superstar in any right. Come on. I mean.
Okay. Well, I don't know.
He's a good Robin to Brunson's Batman. I'll put it to you that way.
Listen, if the Knicks get eliminated, we might want to call you Pelicans and offer a one-for-one snap Anunoby for Zion. You never know.
That's not happening, sir. That's not happening.
You would make the deal.
That's not happening, sir. He was the one. I said a star. Zion has a ceiling. Zion has a ceiling to be a superstar if he's not hurt. So stop.
I am so glad, Jack, that you are not the GM of the Knicks because you're
my goodness.
Every act the Knicks have for somebody.
Well, he's trying to be sarcastic. He's trying to be sarcastic.
No, I'm saying let's see what goes on the rest of the playoffs. If the Knicks win the NBA championship, I'm not touching anything. But But if they lose to the Sixers, they clearly got at least tweak the team.
Check. Thank you, Danny.
Wait. I'm saying Anunoby going for Zion. Well, wait. Just saying my move is bad.
That's horrible.
James wouldn't make my move. He wouldn't trade Zion for Anunoby.
Well, yeah, I just want to say he was being sarcastic. He was being sarcastic, right? But I'm not saying. I'm just saying Anunoby would definitely, if he came from under the shadow of those two players, he would blossom. I think.
100%.
I agree with Keith.
Yeah, but that's anyone. You give them an opportunity.
That's not anyone.
Any team is going to have one player that's going to stand out because someone's got to score the points. Someone's got to get the rebounds and the
Like
assists.
Zion in Memphis, right? Yeah, or wherever he is. Where he's
Be
New
nice,
Orleans.
Danny.
New
Be
Orleans.
nice.
You've been bringing
Listen,
up,
I mean,
you bring up
I
Zion.
know James would
in the
want
league.
some like Jay Morant on his team.
I was hoping that he did come. Honestly.
Because if James will point to the stat line, and look at his statistics.
No, I just think some people could probably go.
That's
I mean, like say for instance,
right
someone
there.
like Joe Dumars probably would get him in line.
That's goofy.
I don't know for what. They're just making comments. But what is goofy?
They're talking about the Zion for Anunoby, but I think they don't realize you were being.
You wouldn't make the deal, and they're thinking it's
Never.
goofy because I would make the deal.
Never.
That's what I don't get. So
You
that's
talk about
me.
him being serious. There you go.
Right. Yeah, I think you were being sarcastic. You wouldn't make that deal, would you, Jack? I mean, you would.
Yeah, if
No, I'm saying
who,
you.
if I'm who?
No, I'm saying, yeah, if you were New Orleans, would you give
I wouldn't make
Zion
the
away?
deal.
I'm
No.
nice, Danny.
No, because I think, but Zion, this is it with Zion. I've had it. He's been there for years already. I don't want to hear he's finally saying, I'm going to get dedicated. Where have
But you
you
wanna
been
bring
all this time, guy?
Here.
Where have you been?
Why would you want to bring him here then, Jack? You just said you trade him one-on-one.
Because he's a tremendous talent. He comes here,
But he doesn't use it. I mean, it's great to have it. You might as well use it, though.
He's been a good. Zion's been a very good player. Don't get me wrong. He has been a very good player, but he hasn't been anywhere near the player we thought he was going to be coming out of college.
Wow.
But he could still be that, I think.
Well, we trade him one-on-one for OG. That's just nuts. That's goofy, Jack. Really.
On that goofy note.
Depending on how the rest of the playoffs go.
On that goofy note, we will bid you guys adieu.
Because I'm the vanilla James Martin. That's how I can get away with it.
It's not bad, Jack. Jack, it's not a bad thing.
I don't touch any of this stuff. I mean, yeah. I learned a lesson. I'm reading a book quickly on LeBron now, and LeBron tried to label Phil Jackson as being a racist, and I don't like Phil Jackson. Don't get me wrong, because Phil Jackson said, "Oh, LeBron's with his posse."
Posse, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and I don't like. I like LeBron more than I like Phil Jackson, but I thought LeBron was out of line, with that.
That's a little out of line, yeah.
But again, anyway, back onto the fact that we have to close this show, and it's been a very good show, by the way. Thank you, everybody, for who participated. Again, catch Keith Ingle right next with the Stream of Consciousness, and also check out MGF tonight at 8 p.m.
And we love you, Ms. Linda.
Yep, we
Same
love
here.
you.
We love Mac and you, Linda.
Yes.
Everybody have a great rest of your Sunday. We'll see you next Sunday.